Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Specialist Experience Podcast. I am your host, Josh McCoy, and alongside me is my best friend, most likely my best man, and the greatest punter in the ACC, Aiden Swanson. Aiden, how are you today?
Doing good, Josh. How you doing?
Doing just fine here in New Orleans, Louisiana, with very crappy weather right now. How's the weather in Clemson?
Beautiful. 60 degrees. Can't complain.
That's fantastic. So the reason why me and Aiden are starting this podcast is pretty simple. Number one is we both have very different experiences at IMG and in college now. Aiden is currently a punter kicker combo at Clemson University, and I am just a regular student at Tulane. And that is not normal for an IMG person to make the transition from fully athletics and fully involved to a regular student. And so the goal of the podcast is to talk about this experience that we had, both of us, which led us to meet really successful and good athletes. And so through this podcast, we're going to interview these athletes and see the attributes that make them successful and their work, and also to show that these people are more than just athletes. They have different missions in mind. Besides their athletics, they have different goals. They are student athletes, and we're just going to talk to them, see what their goals are in life, see what they've accomplished in their life, and what got them there to those points. Aiden, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. Other than, we're going to talk to some high quality athletes, high profile, and do the best we can, answer any questions you'll have, and give you just what we said, an experience, a little insight of what it is to be an athlete.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we want to get into a little bit of the recruiting aspects, not necessarily from a college standpoint, but from a high school athlete standpoint. So if you're a high school athlete or even younger athlete of any age looking to play at a high level, we're going to get into the do's and the don'ts of what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Obviously, I failed at my goal. And so that failure, though, was one of the greatest teachers of all time. And I've learned from that failure, and it's given me a new perspective on many things in life. So now we're just going to get into Aiden and I's recruitment to IMG and the experiences we had at IMG. Aiden, can you give us a little bit about your background before IMG and then how they recruited you and how you got to IMG?
Yeah, so started out my freshman, sophomore year of high school at Jesuit Tampa. Full 2 years there. And then I got recruited to come play at IMG. Billy Miller, special teams coordinator there, still is. Created a good and healthy relationship. I was very interested in playing at a higher level. Jesuit was one of the best high schools in the Tampa area and also in the state. But I felt like IMG, we played all over the country. So just getting that exposure to all these colleges and playing the best high school football teams around the country, it was really a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you went there the beginning of your junior year.
Right. Yep. Fall of my junior year. And then I actually graduated early in spring of 2019, and I came here to Clemson.
Awesome. That's really cool. So I have a much different play of events before IMG. So I was sitting at a girls' soccer game in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then all of a sudden I look at my Twitter DM, and Billy Miller's contact is there. And what a guy Billy is. He's fantastic. Coach Miller is probably one of the greatest coaches I've ever had in my life. Just a great guy, second dad to me. I love that guy to death. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, who is Billy Miller? And it says, how is your season going? And at that time, my season, I only played 4 games my junior year. I was supposed to start that whole year. I believe it was 4 to 6 games I played. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. Because before that season, well, actually, sophomore year, I played safety. And I was making a tackle in like the first game of the season, Jamboree, whatever it was. I was making a tackle. And as I made the tackle, I fell to the ground, and my arm or my hand got caught in his shoelaces. And as the player stepped up with his leg, my arm got ripped out and back. And so I go over to the sideline, and the trainer is like, "You have a stinger, like, man up." And I'm like, this is not a stinger. And so they eventually take my pads off, and it's clear as day that my shoulder is out of socket. And so I get in my dad's car, which was a Jeep, and it's a very bumpy ride to the hospital. And so at this point, my shoulder's been out of place for like an hour and a half. Like, it's like forever. And we get to the hospital, and they make me wait longer. So my shoulder was out for a total of like 3 hours. And so my junior year, fast forward to junior year, this was sophomore year. Junior year, right before the season, you go to kicking camps like me and you both did. And so I was in a slew of kicking camps. I was performing pretty well. I get to Adams camp. It's like the second day there or whatever. And we're playing dodgeball. And I get a dodgeball, and I just throw it as hard as I can. And as I'm throwing the dodgeball, I dislocate my shoulder again. And so I get back home. My dad's pissed off. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And at this point, we're both mad about my shoulder because it's been bothering me. And so I opt to get surgery. And so I get surgery, and I get to play a little bit my junior year of football. I don't mention any of this to Billy, obviously. And I'm just like, it went great, like fantastic season, blah, blah, blah. I hit it like I tied second longest in school history, 49-yarder field goal. I had good stats from a field goal percentage. I think I missed 2. I went like 4 for 6 or something, or 6 for 8. It was overall a good season kicking for me past that point. And so I text Billy back. He offers me to come visit. I go and visit, and obviously IMG, you can't complain about that campus. I mean, me and Aiden both know that is the Disneyland of high school athletics, and probably better than the majority of colleges. It is ridiculous. And so me and my parents, my parents definitely want me to go. They want this experience. But my parents just had a divorce. And so it was a really awkward time in my life leading up to going to IMG. And so I'm telling everybody at school, they basically tell me, "You're going to IMG." My parents do. And I'm like, okay, I was on board. I wanted to go. And then it didn't turn out. I didn't get there right away to IMG for that second semester of my junior year.
Spring semester.
Spring semester, yeah. I didn't get there that first week. If you remember, Aiden, I think it was about 4 weeks. Is that right?
It was a long time, dude. I was waiting for you to come out.
Yeah, it was like 3 to 4 weeks before I ended up getting there, because it was just an ongoing personal matter, family matter to get me there. And it was a really awkward thing with the divorce and everything. And eventually I get there. So like IMG is like just getting me away from this whole mess back home. And I was finally just ready to go. I was tired of it, and I was happy to get to leave. So I get to IMG, and I'm walking down the hallway, and second floor of the school, and I see this tall, lanky kid, and you just know a punter when you see a punter. And this dude is built just like a punter, and he dashed me up and he goes, "Hi, I'm Aiden." And we're obviously going to class, so it couldn't be as long as we wanted the intro to be. And so I dap him up, and I see him at practice the next day, and blah, blah, blah. That was hilarious. Anyway, so that semester I have a pretty good time kicking-wise, I believe. I was pretty decent. They basically told me I was the national team kicker. So we have a national team and a varsity team. National travels, plays the main schedule, the big opponents, and the varsity team plays in-state only. And so they basically told me I was the national team kicker. So after the spring game, I have a pretty good spring game. I think I missed 1 field goal from 49. And after the spring game, I go back home, and I kind of get complacent once they told me I was the national team kicker. I didn't really go into kicking camps. I didn't really practice. That was the biggest mistake. I kicked a little bit. I didn't weight train. These are all huge mistakes. And I got complacent with, I'm the IMG national team kicker. How can I mess this up? And so I get there my fall semester, of senior year. And we show up. Actually, this is summer because football players show up a little bit before. And all of a sudden, there's a new kid on the block. His name's Hunter Simmons. He's currently the freshman kicker at Maryland. And this guy can ball. He can kick it for forever. And now I'm in deep because we got a competition going. And I had no idea he was coming. I don't think many of us knew he was coming. It was just a show, like randomly showed up. And I love this kid to death now. No beef, obviously, now. And so we get in a competition, and out of everybody to win it, a kid named Cam Gillis wins it. The kid with the smallest leg, but the hardest work ethic, and just will not miss in a mindset of steel. Aiden, do you have anything to add about Cam?
Yeah, good story about Cam is he would literally kick 100 balls a day. And everyone's sitting there like, Cam, like, you need to stop kicking so many footballs at practice. Kid, he would not stop, dude. He was the biggest worker, honestly, one of the biggest hard workers I've ever known in my life so far.
His work ethic is ridiculous. He doesn't quit. He doesn't know how to quit. Anyway, he wins the job. And so that was cool with me. So Billy tells me, Billy's under the impression that me and him are going to split kicks at the national team level. I was still going to be traveling with the national team. So in the jamboree, the pregame, Hunter goes with the varsity team and kicks with them. So he's been practicing with them. So he's getting reps with them. And me and Cam split kicks with the national team. So it's cool. I'm still on the same page. I was kicking good that game. I felt like I did better than Cam. Who knows? We made the same number of kicks, but I thought my kicks looked better. That's just personal opinion. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he won the job. And then the first game of the season comes around, and it's an away game. And it's in Pennsylvania, I believe.
Yep, Pine Richland.
And it's the day before we travel. I have my bags packed. My dad has a flight ticket to go up there. And Billy calls me in his office, and I walk in there, and he goes, "Hey, you're not traveling." And at that moment, I was like, what the Like, I've been told this whole time I was traveling. And he goes, "No, you're going to be playing home games with the national team." And I was like, sucks. I understand. Okay. So I go with the varsity team. Obviously, I'm not going to get any reps because Hunter is the only one that's been practicing with them. So Hunter's been practicing with the varsity team. So he gets all the reps with the varsity team. We come back the next week, and I kick at home with the national team again, which is cool. I'm all up for this. This is all right. I'm still working hard. I'm still doing whatever I can at practice. Little late. I should have been working over the summer, but I'm still cool in the moment right now. Still had aspirations to play college football. Then the second, there's an away game. I think y'all go on a stretch of like 2 away games. Y'all come back home. So y'all get back home, and I was prepared to play with the national team at home. And again, I get called into Billy's office, and I'm wondering why. And he tells me, "You're going with the varsity team." And at this point, I was pissed off. Again, I was like, what the you told me I was kicking with the national team at home, which is what I was expecting. And again, they kind of let me down on their word. And Billy was like a second father to me again. He was like a brother to brother. So anything he told me, I took as concrete, like it was going to happen. And I don't blame Billy for any of this. If anything, I think it was at a higher level management mismanagement mistake.
Yeah, he just relayed the message, basically.
Yeah. And so at that point, I'm crushed. Because Hunter's getting all the reps with the varsity team. I'm not getting any of those reps. So my only reps were when I was with Billy, because it's a whole different set of coaching staffs on both sides. And so that basically crushed me. That was pretty much the end of my aspirations for football. I go to Coach Wright's room, Coach Wright's office, the head coach. I tell him what I was told, and I basically storm out of there, and I quit the team. And I don't know if IMG's ever had a player quit the team. I would assume not. At that moment, I was pissed off in the moment, and I quit the team, for better or for worse. And now I have to confront my dad about I just quit the IMG football team. The reason why you sent me here. And so I tell him that we have a huge fallout, and we stopped talking. And eventually, I think I blocked his number in my phone and everything, and like every social media. Like, it was bad. We had a huge fallout. And I ended up rejoining the team about 2 to 3 weeks down the road. But I told Billy, I was like, I have no aspirations to play college football anymore. I'm just doing this to essentially finish what I started. So I joined the team, and I had a whole mood switch after those two incidents. More or less, it was my fault. The whole way everything was handled. I didn't practice over the summer. I got outworked, and then I get there, I performed decent, and then they let me down twice from their word. And for me, word is concrete. That's what my mom always told me. But in the line of sports and life, you get told a lot of things that don't happen, especially in recruitment. And so you got to get used to that. And for where I was at my point in my life, I was younger. I was more immature. It really, really upset me and affected me. And so I finished what I started at IMG, the football team, and I ended up I come back home, and I played soccer, which was at that time basically my true love. I felt like, looking back now, kicking was almost like not necessarily my first love or a love of mine. It was just something I was good at. I didn't have that love and that drive for it like Cam did. And I feel like that's essential to make sure you're ready for everything that's put in front of you, that you have to have that. And I didn't feel that way with kicking. And I think that was the first big mistake. I think outside forces were pushing me to go down that path, because at home I was always known as the kicker, the guy that can kick, IMG's kicker. And it really affected my way of thinking. And yeah, it was really weird. And so I go back home, I play soccer. We have a good chance to go to state this year in soccer, my senior year in Shreveport. And it's a playoff game. I'm warming up, and I look over the parking lot, and I see a Jeep. And I know my dad's Jeep when I see it, and it's my dad. And I haven't talked to him at this point in about 3 to 4 months. And I see his Jeep, and it was a really powerful moment, because he walked over, and we talked for a little bit. And basically at that point, it let me know that he had my back no matter what. No matter if I failed him and myself at IMG, now it was focus on the mission ahead now and what you're going to do in life now. And I think that's really important, because me and you were talking yesterday about how important the high school aspect of family is, whether it's family of your actual family or family of your friends. And it was a really powerful moment then for me. And so I say all this to high school athletes, or current college athletes, or just athletes in general, people in general. Don't get so down on failure, because that failure at IMG taught me so much about life. And as they say, failure is the best teacher. That failure created a new motivation in me to do things in life I've never would have done. And now I have this drive to do stuff, to be motivated to do something with my life. And I have this experience of betrayal, if you will, in life, because life will slap you in the face. It'll kick you down. It'll put you at your lowest point. I have this experience with it now, and I'm not afraid of it anymore like I was afraid of it at that time. I can bounce back faster now. I'm not afraid to fail. And I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people fail, and they don't get anything from it. I think with failure, you need to realize why you failed and then bounce back with it. Aiden, have you ever experienced anything like that, or any type of experience with failure that motivated you in an athletic standpoint?
Dude, I mean, I could go on and on about failures in my life. Really, for me, I'd say just doing bad in games, honestly, for me, like not performing well to, like all these rankings and stuff, like you have high expectations, or they have high expectations for you, and, not living up to that kind of eats you alive, and you think you failed. Like, personally, like, I kind of live by a motto, never satisfied. I'm always trying to do better, like, hey, I hit a good ball, I want to hit an even better ball next time. So, like, I could go on and on about failures I've had in my life, but obviously we're trying to keep it short here. But no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I mean, failures can happen anytime, anywhere, any place.
Yeah. And to add on with your point about pressure, I feel like, I don't know if this is true to everybody, the external pressure, other people putting pressure on you, is way scarier than yourself's expectations of you. For me, at least.
No, absolutely.
Like, you want to, like, when you're on that field, you're representing that name on your back. And you want to do everything in your power to make that a good name. Man, external pressure is a hard thing to deal with. But at the end of the day, you got to realize that your family will be there for you no matter what. That's why me and you really emphasize the importance of the relationship with your family. Because you don't need to be afraid to fail your family, because they will be there for you no matter what. If you put in the work and you have the drive to be successful, your family will be there for you, whether it's family of your mother, your father, or your actual friends. That's a very important aspect. Now, Aiden, let's move on. Let's get on to your recruitment to Clemson, when they contacted you first, and how you went about getting recruited to currently the #1 team in the nation.
Yeah, so started with Clemson, going into my sophomore year, or not, actually sophomore year, summer. I went to the football camp, and I know a lot of athletes know, like, colleges don't look at freshmen or sophomores in high school that much, and so I was just going. Clemson was my dream school growing up. My mom went there, so really wanted to go to the camp, so I did, and did well. Got like mail and stuff like that from the camp, yada yada yada. Going into my junior year, same summer. Going into my junior year, at this point, I have decided to transfer to IMG, and I do really well at the camp. Coach Sweeney actually tells me to go grab my parents and let's talk. And he basically told me, you have a spot on this roster, and he decided to call it a preferred walk-on. So that's when I got my offer to Clemson. And then things picked up from there. Obviously, there were other schools that I was talking to, but Clemson stayed at #1 for me. And then that relationship built throughout the year and a half at IMG, and coaches visited IMG like basically once a month. So I was in contact with them and went up for games, visits, and all that, junior days, all that stuff. And then I eventually, I went up to the junior day, and basically they offered me a full scholarship, and I committed right on the spot. So that's basically how I ended up committing. The process for me with Clemson.
That's awesome. And then when you graduated from IMG, you obviously graduated a semester early, and you're planning to enroll at Clemson in the spring, and all of a sudden you get hit with a large roadblock. And you can go ahead and tell everybody what that was.
Yeah, so my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer November of my senior year, and I was planning on going to Clemson in January. And they didn't tell me until like a week before I left. So because they wanted me to focus on, or prepare to get ready to go up there and focus on the rest of the season. And I remember it pretty well. We were sitting out at dinner at our house, and my dad broke the news, and it just hit me, man. I was crying for like hours, and I felt like maybe I should stay at home, or actually, I not even maybe. I wanted to stay at home and be there for my mom because my dad can take care of her, and then my brother and sister, they're twins in high school, so I feel like I need to be the second man in the house and stay at home and go to the public high school, finish out the senior year of spring in high school. But they really got on me and urged me to go to Clemson early, and they said, go live out your dream, go do what you want to do. And obviously that's what I wanted to do, but I also want to stay at home. But in the end, they pushed me to go up to Clemson, so I did. But she's fully recovered now, which is great. And I mean, she's doing great. I can't complain about anything that's happened. She really pushed herself, and she's a warrior, man. She's a survivor. So
Yeah. And again, that's just another example of the importance of trust inside your family. You trusted them enough to leave, to go off in this important time and fulfill your dream, even though there was struggle back home. And I think that's just a great example of the trust that you have with your family, and the trust that a lot of people have in you, like I have in you, as I consider me and you family, even though we have a broad definition of family, but a relatively small circle of family. Dude, that is just an awesome story. Now, real fast, let's just end off today's podcast with a discussion of me and yours do's and don'ts for college recruitment if they're a high school athlete. I'll start off. Do work hard. Learn from me. If you're not working hard, it's not right for you. Aiden's schedule is brutal. The college grind is brutal. If you don't love what you're doing, if you don't have a need for what you're doing, it's not right for you. I think Aiden can add on to this.
yeah, man, if you don't have a passion for football, or honestly any sport in general, or it doesn't have to be a sport, if you don't have that drive to do it every single day and that passion for it, it's not for you. You really got to ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Because your parents, you and yourself, you put a lot of time and money into it, and you're just flushing it down the drain if you're not wanting to do it. So yeah, got to have passion for it.
Yeah. And I would say I did have passion for it, although I felt like my passion was kind of stripped away from me almost, whether that was my fault from not working hard enough. If you have passion for something, you have to work hard because there's always somebody else working hard. Like I said earlier, I was told I was going to be the national team kicker, but life doesn't always get you what you're told. You're not always just handed things. And that was a valuable lesson for me. Aiden, what is your first do or don't for high school athletes when it comes to college recruitment?
Definitely work ethic. We touched up on that. I'd say the number two for me is honestly family. You got to really take advantage of the time you have at home. For me, my last 2 years of high school, I didn't see my family as much. Luckily, I lived an hour away from IMG, so I went home for the weekends basically. But living on your own, you think it's great and all, but you miss your family. Honestly, I miss them right now. So you really got to take advantage of the time you have with them at all costs.
Yeah, that's a big aspect because when I went away from IMG, I was really going to get away, to get away from this mess at home and just be alone. That's all I wanted. I'm kind of a loner myself. I love video games. I love being alone. I love being with friends too, but I need my alone time, and my own thought process time. I'm kind of a different person. And I think as I went away, it actually helped my relationship with my family, because when I got back, even though at the time I heard, obviously me and my dad weren't on good terms after the whole IMG thing. It's kind of weird with the rest of my family all now, grandparents, everybody like, what happened? Friends are like, what the heck? So as a whole, it's a weird experience. But as I went back, my relationship with everybody got better. I made an emphasis on it. And as my relationship with everybody got better, my life in return got better. Me and my mom have a fantastic relationship. Me and my dad have a fantastic relationship now, I think better than I've ever had in my life, or close to it. And it's just really powerful. All right, I'll give another advice. Build a personal brand. Whether this is through social media, be smart about your brand. It matters. If you look at the IMG athletes, they do this very well. I would say the majority of them do. They build a brand with their name. If you look at Buki from IMG, 44, he now plays at Oklahoma. I think he has like a crazy amount of Instagram followers. He built his brand, his personal brand. And it's very important to be thinking about that brand, because colleges they like a brand. They like a guy with a following, and especially if he can play football. It just brings a whole nother aspect to things. And this goes down to your social media too. Be very cautious with what you post on social media. We see this at IMG especially a lot. They told us this a lot about it matters what you're posting on social media. If you're trying to play a college sport, make sure it's pretty much all relative to college sports. You playing football, you with family. Don't post anything inappropriate. Don't curse. It's very important. I would stay out of politics for the most part. I would stay apolitical. Again, politics sucks, so don't even wrap your head around in politics. God, that's a terrible subject. At least from my perspective. Yeah. Aiden, do you have any other do's or don'ts?
Yeah, I'd say in terms of recruitment, be realistic with yourself. You know, you go to these camps, you see all these kids, 500 kids at a camp, you know, and you start comparing yourself. I mean, that's what I did. I started comparing myself with other punters and kickers there, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm better than this kid. And then, oh, shoot, that kid's really good. I definitely can't do that. So you just got to be honest with yourself, man. For me, I started talking to small schools around me. I'm from Tampa, Florida. So I started talking to I think my first school I like sent film to was Ave Maria. It's like a D3 NAI school in Florida. Honestly, I don't even know where it is, but yeah. Start talking to them, and then West Florida, other small schools in Florida, and then I start building up a little bit. UCF, FAU, FIU, and that's another tip. I'd say start small, start with small schools, and build your brand, like Josh was saying. Go to these camps, perform well, and then eventually the big schools will start calling if you do well. So don't set yourself on like big schools like Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama. You know, just like I said, be realistic with yourself. You got plenty of time, especially for us kickers and punters and snappers. The recruiting process sucks for us. I'll be honest. Like, you never see it's very rare that you see someone commit like their junior year. I was very lucky, but a lot of kickers, snappers, punters that I see or that I've been friends with over the years, they commit like 2 weeks before they have to decide where to go. So definitely start small and build your way up.
Yeah. And especially if you start small, even if you know you're better, you get that foundation.
Absolutely.
And
the small offers start building up. You know, the big schools start taking notice and they start recruiting you. So
yeah, exactly. I think that's where I messed up. I was so focused on outcome rather than my inputs. And if I would have focused on my inputs, the outcomes would have been there. So that goes along with work ethic and starting small, because my outcome I wanted so high, I didn't start small. And that just plays into both hard work and being realistic. Yeah. As far as don'ts, don't think it's going to be handed to you. If a college coach tells you that you're going to be on their team, just don't even believe it. Don't even believe it until you have that offer in hand. And even if you have that offer, don't even believe it until you sign that you're going to that school. Because believe me, it's a rough process. It's a brutal process. A lot of manipulation goes along in the college recruitment process. And you want to have those relationships with coaches where you feel comfortable enough. Build relationships.
I'd say, like you're saying, like family, make sure these coaches like get to know you personally, your family as well. That's what Clemson really did with me. They got to know me personally and my family as well. So another don't for me is don't be posting these like edits. Like, I'll be honest with you, like they send those edits, like you get like it's your head photoshopped in some guy on the team's like shirt and uniform. Like they send that out to thousands of kids they recruit. If this coach isn't texting you all the time, giving you phone calls once a week, if you're not asking, or if they're not asking you to visit frequently, don't waste your time. Like, there's obviously talking to someone else and they don't believe in you. So that's another way, just another reason to get that work ethic up, keep working.
Yeah, don't post the edits unless you have a real relationship with that school. Most people post it just to flex on their friends. It doesn't matter. I could Photoshop my face on Aiden's punter body and say that I'm the punter. It doesn't matter. What matters is those actual relationships with the coaches. And whether that's them reaching out to you or you reaching out to them, be proactive. Reach out to them. Develop those relationships with them. You might not be their number one, but if they're your number one, reach out to them. And then maybe you'll get lucky. And hold up, their number one doesn't want to go there. Their number two doesn't want to go there. But you were their number three, and all of a sudden, you're their number one. And they were your number one all along. So be proactive in these relationships. Keep them engaged and build your brand, essentially. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 1 of the Special Experience podcast. Me and Aiden pretty much Twitch stream Monday through Wednesday, Thursday-ish. I'm pretty much live Sunday through Thursday on Twitch. We will answer any of your questions. Come ask us there. We hope to do this podcast one day on Twitch when we get a following. Leave your questions below in the comment section. Text us, DM us, email us. We're happy to answer your questions.
We're going to drop our Instagram, Twitter handles, Twitch handle, all that for y'all if you have any questions.
It'll be down in the description. Thank you again for listening. We hope to see you all here next week with us as we bring on some special guests from IMG, talk about their experience, their recruitment process, and what makes them successful as a college athlete and their future plans. Thank you guys, and see you later.